Well, I scared something up the mountain. I'd be surprised if there's bears out this time of year. There's another print. Kind of looks like, I mean, it could be a deer, I guess. Huh. Yeah, it could have been a deer bounded up the hill, but it looks a little suspect to me. It's about how far a deer would bound, but there's just those are big marks for a deer. Big marks for a deer. Who knows? We all know what's out here. Hey, welcome back to Outlaw Country, people. I'm in pretty good shape. I consider myself to be in pretty good shape. But when I throw this sucker on with 30 pounds in it and I start hiking this shit, I start to question my conditioning. Oh, I'm doing okay. Still suffering from that torn quad muscle in my leg, so that's I gotta be pretty careful and go slow, which I'm doing. But anyways, I'm doing all right. I just had to get out I had to go for a couple of days, and I've been talking sort of all year long about doing some winter camping, and I'm cooperating, but Mother Nature's not. Winter has just not showed up to southern Canada, southwestern Canada. It sure has southeastern Canada, but southwestern Canada, where I am, British Columbia, southwest corner of British Columbia, no winter. It never happened. I mean, it's cool. Mornings are cold, you know, not cold. Mornings are cool. I hate to say it's cold because it's not. Drove by a golf course a couple of, 4 to 5 days ago, drove by a golf course. There's people out golfing mid-January. Go figure that. And I heard from a friend of mine the other day that the ski hills here on the island are closing because there's no snow. Anyhow, it's cool, but warms up during the day, gets up to, 6, 7, 8 degrees some days, and maybe -3 or something at night. So not really winter, but I'm not going to sit around and pout about it. Go out for a hike. So I've got my big pack with me on this trip because I brought a few things with me. Brought my jet boil stove, cooking stove, little cooking stove. I'll show that to you guys. And so I brought my jet boil and my ground tarp, and I didn't bring a sleeping bag. What I brought is I brought another heavy jacket and heavy down pants, because if it does get cold, I would put those on anyways at night. They keep you super warm, and then I can actually just sleep in those down pants and jacket in under my ground tarp. So I brought a heavy brown canvas ground tarp, lay it on the ground or string it up between a couple of trees. I generally like to just lay the tarp on the ground and then climb inside of it, pull the tarp right over top of me. That's kind of what I like to do if I know the weather's going to be half decent, which it is. So that's kind of the plan. Brought a little tiny bit of food. I brought one dehydrated meal and a little bag of beef jerky. Not beef jerky, it's moose jerky. A little bag of moose jerky, one dehydrated meal, and that's it. That's all I brought. But I like to do that. I actually, like, as you guys know, I like to go with nothing, with no food sometimes, and go with very minimal supplies, which I'm doing, you know, again, I'm doing here. I got my trusty little hip hatchet handsaw and some fire starter, my ferro rod, and that's it. That's all I need, right? The animals can survive out here, so can I. Anyways, it's an area that I really am familiar with. Been here a lot. Haven't been here in about a month, since before Christmas actually. So I guess it's been almost 2 months now, month and a half, 2 months. I came in and put up 3 trail cams up here. And I don't think you guys can see, but I'll show you that mountain right there to my left. Okay, I came up the creek draw down below me, and I came up on this side, and that mountain right there to my left, I'll give you a look at that when I'm done here, but that's where, on the other side of that mountain, in the next draw over, is where I ran into Kyle, the young fella that was out cougar hunting that had lost his dog. And just on this side of that mountain right there is where Kyle found her. And it was pretty cool, because I told you guys I ran into him, and he was like, what are you doing out here? Are you hunting cats? And I said no. And anyhow, you guys know the story. And I offered to help Kyle stay and look for his dog, right? And he was like, no, it's all right. Which, fair enough, you know, some guys just like to do things on their own. And but anyways, I did offer to help him, and I said, listen, man, I'm out here all the time. So I gave him my cell number, and he did give me his. So I said, if something happens and you need me, call me. I said, I can be here pretty quick, and I'll come back up and give you a hand or whatever. And I said, you know, man, I'd really like to hear if you do find Ollie. And he said, so he said, yeah, you bet. So we exchanged numbers, and yeah, it was it the next day? It was either the very next day or one more day. And I got a text message from him with that picture that I shared with you guys, and he'd found her, which was such good news. Such good news. I just couldn't imagine a poor domestic animal being out here all alone, lost. And you know, it's funny. He said, I don't know much about cougar hunting at all, just because me personally, I don't hunt them. I only hunt animals that I can eat. And so I really don't know too much about it. I know about cougars, but I just don't know much about cougar hunting. But anyways, he said that he's been running dogs for a long time. He has 4 hounds, and he always takes 3. Sometimes he'll take 4, but he always takes at least 3 out with him. And he said that's the first time since he's been running dogs that he's lost a GPS collar. He said they're super durable. They're on there very, very well. And he said that it's the first time he's ever lost a collar, and that is the lifeline to the dog. So anyways, fantastic outcome, super great news. I was so happy to hear that. And we had a little bit of a bullshit, Kyle and I did, and he's like, hey man, you ever want to go cougar hunting? He says, you give me a shout, I'll take you out. And I said, okay, appreciate that, buddy, thank you very much. I won't take him up on it, because again, I only shoot animals that I can put on the table, so I don't think cougar tastes very good. Anyhow, I'm gonna rock and roll here, because I don't have a lot of time left before it gets dark. I need to get up there. I might take a break once I get to the very top of the mountain, which isn't too much further. I might take a break up there, read you guys up a few emails before it gets too dark, and then I don't have much to do for setting up camp. I wouldn't mind trying to get a little fire going. I brought some water. I brought a liter and a 1.4 liters of water, which I do in this area here because I know there's no water in here. So I brought enough water to have a coffee and have my meal and have a coffee in the morning. So I'm gonna get up here, find a spot, take a break for a little bit. Maybe I'll find my camp spot or whatever, and sit down and read you guys a few emails. and get some more checked off the list. Get some more checked off the list. It's crazy. I was out at my cabin not that long ago. I don't know, a week or so ago. I lose track of time very easily. Not because I'm old, it's just because I got so much shit on the go. But I was out at my cabin with my wife and we were checking trail cams out there. And I got another cougar on trail cam out there. I'll put that on a clip for you guys, maybe on the end of this one or whatever. I'll put it on a clip for you guys because it's a big cat. And it walked, I put some of my cameras are on old deactivated logging roads that nobody can access anymore unless you hike, which is a really good way to get around the mountains here on the island. Because some of the timber, as you can see, this is really open here, gets really thick up top and it's really thick down on the bottom. So using these old deactivated logging roads is a really good means of transportation for me, for hikers, but also for the animals. And you would not believe how many animals I've got on those cameras, just putting them on deactivated logging roads. Some big elk, and anyways, this big cat. So I've got 3 cougars out there now on camera, and this is a big cat as well. And I'm going to show you guys a little clip of that one. Maybe I'll show it right now. What do you think of that? Big cougar, right? So anyways, yes, the 3rd cat that I've seen on camera out there, and there's a lot of them on the island. It's one of the highest populations of cougars in the country, is right here. Anyhow, what else is kind of cool is we have a fairly healthy population of they're actually called sea wolves, okay, and they're just wolves, but they live and feed off the ocean for the most part. They do eat deer as well. They'll eat whatever. Wolves will eat anything, right? So, but these wolves have adapted and they feed a lot off of the ocean. They'll feed on shellfish when the tide goes down, dead fish that are on the ground, whale carcasses, sea lion carcasses, anything that's on the beach, they'll scavenge for it and they'll eat it. And there's quite a healthy population of them out on the west coast. And they do go up into the mountains, and they travel these roads as well. And what I find fascinating is, and I want you people out there that think that for sure Bigfoot or Sasquatch, Sabe, whatever you want to call them, the forest people, you think that one of them should have been caught on a trail cam at some point in the game by now. Well, I've got 6 or 8 cameras set up on the west coast in very good areas, and I've seen every animal that exists out there. I've seen deer, I've seen elk, and I've seen bear, and I've seen cougar, okay, which is every big game animal on the west coast of British Columbia except for the wolf. I have not seen a wolf yet. I've seen 1 wolf in my 25 years of being out there. I've seen 1 wolf in person, and I saw it for that long. It was gone all by himself, and I've never seen another one since. I've heard them howling at night up in the hills, but I've never seen one. My cameras have never caught one. So that's something to think about, all right? And they're a pretty healthy population. So imagine a being that is quite rare and very, 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 very intelligent. Not that wolves aren't. Wolves are very smart, but imagine a being that's very intelligent, very rare. Why haven't we caught one on trail cam? I don't know. You tell me. Okay. Sorry for the moaning and groaning, guys, but I hurt my shoulder. Something fierce. And it's been bugging me for quite some time now. The pain I feel sometimes almost takes me to my knees. I'm gonna show you this here. See this here? It's a great fire starter. All right. We call it old man's beard. And you'll find it growing on some of the trees. And even if it's wet, you put it in your pocket and dry it off. And that stuff is great, great fire starter. Like, look at that. Phenomenal stuff, actually. I'm taking it. Mine might need it, you never know. pooped. Top of the mountain. I'm taking a break. I'm going to take a break, and then I will find camp. Oh man. Great start, Darren. It's got pitch all over my hand. Pitch is good because it's a great fire starter. There's some more old man's beard up there. It's a great fire starter. Pitch is. So it's nice to know there is pitch around if you need it. You've probably seen in some of my other older videos, if you've watched some of the older videos, especially like the survival type videos I did, I use pitch all the time. I'll scrape it off the trees with my knife and get a pile of it, put it in with some old man's beard or whatever, and then hit that with a ferro rod and it'll light right up. The pitch is just so flammable. So it's a good thing it's a good resource to have out here. Okay, man, I am gonna hammer through some emails here because I still need to find my camp spot. Don't know where that's gonna be yet. I just need to find something level, and I like to find it I like to be in a tight group of trees if I can find something that's, you know, fairly thick but open enough that I'm 6'3", right? So it's some thicker timber, but somewhere that I can actually lay my ground sheet down, my tarp, and then I'll see if I can gather up some wood, some dry wood. That can be a challenge, and let me tell you, when you live in a rainforest, finding dry wood can be a real challenge. But I can see some right here, right now. It just could be a little bit of a chore to get the fire going. But I can see some small dead firs here. What I ideally would love to find is an old dead cedar, and then use my axe to bust into that cedar and get some of the heartwood that's dry, because cedar, it just lights like crazy. It's a phenomenal kindling, right? So I already got my water. Just got to basically set up the stove. Boil my water, have my dinner, and good to go. Good to go. That was some, those tracks I saw on the way up are a little odd because generally the deer here, they're very, very small. They're small deer, right? They're not like the big mountain mule deer in the interior of British Columbia. These are coastal blacktails. They're quite small. They will leave tracks, obviously, but that was a pretty big clump of moss that thing had turned up. So it could have been a bear, possibly could have been a cougar. Very unlikely a cougar though, because cougars they just run through this forest like nothing, and they leave no sign of nothing. But it could have been a bear. I had a bear on one of my trail cams at the end of December, so like about a month ago. Our bears over here, they will hibernate in the entire winter, but they also will not. I've seen bears dead of winter here, but usually you'll see them in, you know, if you see one in January or February, it generally it's on a mild winter, which this winter is. So that could have been a bear. And maybe that's why I saw a bear in January on in December on my trail cams. It was like December 20th or 22nd that I caught a bear on trail cam. So thought I heard a branch break. Anyways, whatever it was pretty big, had some weight to it, and you could see where it sort of tore the moss off the rock. I might have spooked it, who knows. Not really too worried, right? I got my best friend in the bush right here beside me. 300 Win Mag. This is a Browning X-Bolt 300 Winchester Magnum. And I do load my own rounds and I buy rounds, but I don't have any of my own loads right now. So these I'm carrying 180 grain. If I load my own, I load my own 220 grain silver tips. Big load. Anyhow, if you ever spend time by yourself, you find you talk a lot to yourself about nothing. All right. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got here today? Let me see. All right. Next. Here we go. Next on the list. I want to say once again to all the subscribers, all the members of Outlaw Country, and all the people that email in, whether you're a subscriber or a member or not. If you email in, I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. The courage it takes to speak the truth, tell your story, greatly appreciated by me. But I just wanted to say that now in case I forget later on. Thanks to every subscriber, every member, and every courageous human being that has decided to write into Outlaw Country or any other channel, you guys. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be me, right? If you think I'm a jerk or whatever, and you want to send it into somebody else, send it into Steve Isdall, How to Hunt. Tell my story at howtohunt.com. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Send it to Steve. Fred Roll only reads First Nations encounters, so Fred won't read any other emails. But I'm sure there's other people. Send it to me if you want. I'll read it. Okay, I will get through every single email. Thank you all. Okay, here we go. Darren, first time anything weird happened was when my wife and I were exploring a sandbar on the Big Susitna River. 61.94202 degrees north, 150.08762 degrees west. The river had recently moved, like glacier rivers do, and washed out a neighboring cabin. You can still see it on Google Earth. It was mid-October before freeze up and the water was low and clear. I walked over to explore a large log jam and got hit by that smell, an overwhelming sense of dread. I walked back to the damaged cabin and all was well. So I walked towards the log jam I walked towards the log jam again, and the same thing happened. My wife was still hanging out at the cabin, so she didn't notice anything weird. We headed back to our place, and I studied the log jam from afar. There was something black hiding in the log jam playing peekaboo, and I assumed it was a bear at the time. A few years later, I kind of figured out what it was. That wall of smell was intense. No way to compare it to anything or describe it accurately. I can speculate that this thing was stuck with nowhere to escape without being seen, since the river was directly behind it. Since then, I have ran into them a few other times, again in that same general area of the Big Sioux. Then they showed up in the backyard of my Wasilla home last November. I'll keep these stories in order, and one per email. Dennis. Thank you very much, Dennis. My friend, I really appreciate that. Wasilla. I've heard of Wasilla and I've heard of the Susitna River. That overwhelming that overwhelming smell, that odor, man, you hear that a lot, don't you? I've had that, okay? I've actually had that happen. And there's, it's unbelievable. I've had the stench so strong, it literally burns your nostrils. It's horrible. So, you know, the thing hiding in the logjam, very possible for sure. Do some cloak and some don't, I don't know, right? But if the thing was hiding there and had no escape, if they are capable of cloaking, which I personally believe they are, why didn't it cloak and leave? Could have just been watching you. You just never know, right? Anyhow, Dennis, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. I'll reach out to you, and certainly do send in any more encounters you have, man. The more the merrier, right? The more information we get, the better, as far as I'm concerned, and I think everybody else will agree with me. All right. Next. I wanted to email you to say that I enjoy your channel very much. I live out in the West Kootenays Trail now, but I'm originally from Ladysmith, born and raised. I understand your daughter's married to a hockey player, and that is another connection we share, in that I coached junior A hockey and played some junior in college way back in the day. I'm going to be 55 in May. That is how I ended up in Trail, as I moved here to coach the Smoke Eaters. That was in 2007, and we never left. My dad and grandpa were both fallers in Copper Canyon, Chemainus. And my grandpa in particular was a big hunter in the day. His name was Clem. He was also a well-known cat hunter. I now hunt out here whenever I can, and have taken elk, muleys, whiteys, and even go out on the odd cat hunt every season with a buddy from Castlegar. I was fortunate enough last season to get an island elk draw for Nanaimo Lakes. I did fill my tag and enjoyed the hunt a lot. I had a very strange encounter in October 2022 in the Gilnockie region of the Kootenays. I go in by Moy Lake and travel about 40 kilometers to get back in there. I went in to put a couple of cameras up for the whitetail season in November. This was an October night, 21st. And it was a cloudless, beautiful night. I was parked on a landing, having something to eat, and listening to a hockey game on satellite radio. Was set to sleep in the truck when all of a sudden I heard a loud scream. I know you know what these screams sound like, but to hear it from myself was shocking, to say the least. I jumped out of the truck and looked back to where the scream came from, but didn't hear any sound. I sat quietly in my truck for about 10 minutes more, when all of a sudden I saw two lights, red and white. I thought it was a plane flying just over the ridge I was facing, but I was wrong. I watched the two lights come down the ridge. As they got to about 250 yards away, it was clear that I was seeing two orbs. They weaved in and out of the timber, down towards where the scream came from. The two lights were approximately 15 to 20 feet off the ground. At that point, I got my truck going and left the area. It was 11 p.m. by the time I got back to Moya Lake. The incident shook me up pretty good. I think I have an idea of what I was witnessing, but I also have a hard time thinking that there may be something a lot more to these beings. I have never seen one or stumbled upon any tracks. I believe in these creatures, but I have a hell of a time trying to understand the potential of an extraterrestrial connection. I'm not looking for this encounter to be read out on your channel at all. I just wanted to say hi and let you know I really enjoy your channel. If you ever want to chat, hunting, hockey, or fishing, give me a holler. I was like an absolute steelhead junkie back in the day, and the Stamp River was always fun to fish. All the best, Jim. Thanks, Jim. Thanks very much, my friend. I do appreciate it. I know the area in the Kootenays, Moy Lake. I know that area, and beautiful area for sure. I don't know what to say, man. I for the longest time, I was in the same mindset as you. I didn't think that these beings possibly had any kind of extraterrestrial meaning or significance. I just figured for the up until very recently, I just figured that these creatures were a type of being, a human type animal type thing. Like, you know, I always thought they were like a prehistoric peoples that never evolved. That's what I always thought. They were a prehistoric people that never evolved and adapted to their environments. Therefore, that's why they were so tall, so big, so muscular, just like bears do, right? They get big, strong, muscular, huge, and intelligent. And that's what I always thought for the longest time, until some shit started happening. And am I completely sold on the fact that they could not be from here? Not 100%, but I'm pretty open to it. You know, way back when I had a video quite some time ago, and I'm sure everybody's seen it. I forget what it's called, Majestic Mountains and Pristine Lakes or something like that. And I was doing just this very thing. I was at a top of a mountain above this beautiful lake, beautiful backdrop. And I was out for a hike and showing some survival skills and whatnot, and did my thing. I was out all day long, went back home, edited the video to go up onto my channel, and I noticed something absolutely what I consider terrifying. And I could see something moving behind me and flashing, and like a dark sort of figure came out, peek out, go back, gone, like literally vanish on the camera. So that was the igniter for me that kind of made me go, oh wow, I don't know. You know, Jim, I'm not here to tell you otherwise or try to convince you otherwise. I don't know where I stand on that whole thing, but you know, there's a lot of encounters with orbs, lights, flashing lights, brilliant flashlight, and the being's there or gone. What does that mean, man? You know what I mean? What is that? What is the other explanation? That's kind of what the way I deal with this is like, okay, if it's not this, it's that, and what is that? So don't know, dude. Pretty interesting story. Obviously you were scared enough to get the hell out of there, and you're no rookie to the woods. So appreciate you, Jim. I will reach out to you, man, for sure. I have no idea when these emails come in, you guys, because I get so many emails. An email comes in that somebody's sharing, and I just copy and paste it and then get to it when I get to it. I have no idea when this came in, Jim, but I will get a hold of you. I promise I'll get a hold of everybody. Any more to share, I'd sure love to hear it. And crazy that you're such a hockey fanatic as well. We'll definitely be able to chat a little bit of hockey. I played well into my younger years. I quit playing when I was about 20, so due to injury. But anyhow, appreciate it, Jim. Thank you very much, my friend. I will get in touch with you just as soon as I possibly can. All right. Next. There we go. Hi, Darren. I wanted to take a minute to thank you for starting Outlaw Country and staying true to who you are and not getting swallowed up by the BS in the world right now. My name is Wayne Gunther, and I live in Grand Prairie, Alberta. I'm 79 years old, and I was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for 39 years. I was blessed in my career because I was a cop when it was fun and exciting to be a cop. I know from watching your videos that your father was a police officer and that you almost followed in his footsteps. Pardon me for saying that I'm glad you didn't, because then this great community and your channel Outlaw Country wouldn't exist. I was never a big hunter, but I did do a lot of lake and river fishing in my earlier days. I'm a little too old for that. I'm a little too old now for that anymore. I saw some beautiful wilderness and fished some of the most spectacular lakes in Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia. I have to tell you, Darren, that I've always been fascinated with the stories about Bigfoot. From the first time I heard about them in the late 60s, I've always thought it incredible that a species possibly so closely related to humans could live in the wilds with nothing. To think that these creatures live like all the other wild animals in the forest, yet have been able to stay hidden from us for the most part. Although it does seem that encounters are becoming a little more frequent, they are still very rare. My encounter with these amazing beings took place in 1982 on the Bull River in southwestern Alberta. This was one of my favorite fishing spots because it was remote and held plenty of big fish. My wife Arlene and I were camping in our little tent trailer for 4 days in early September. We'd been there for a couple of days and we're having a great time. On the second night, we woke up in the middle of the night to a very loud howling sound off in the distance. It sounded kind of like a wounded animal, but I couldn't tell what kind of an animal. It definitely wasn't a wolf, but possibly a bear or something else. I just didn't know. I got up, went outside for a pee, and as I was standing outside, I could hear this animal was moving, and it sounded like it was moving in my direction. I stood and listened to it for a couple minutes, and then it stopped. So I finished my business, went back to bed. I was only in bed for a few minutes and almost drifted off to sleep when I hear a very loud clicking sound. It was almost sounded as if two rocks were being hit together. The clicking had a bit of a pattern to it as well, almost like Morse code. Arlene was awake now, and she was concerned about whatever was making these noises. She kept asking me, "What is that?" And I said, "I don't know." I assured her that it would be fine and not to worry. I always carried a shotgun on our camping trips, and I did on this one, except I'd left it in the truck and not taken it into the tent trailer like I normally do. This strange clicking sound went on for a few minutes at different levels, different patterns, and different levels of loudness, and then all of a sudden it stopped. A short while later, Arlene fell asleep, and I did not long after her. I'm an early riser, especially when I'm fishing, so I was up before daybreak and made coffee. Then at daybreak, I headed for the river. The entire morning, I couldn't stop thinking about the howling and the strange clicking sound we'd heard. I was at my first fishing spot for maybe 30 minutes when I hear a blood-curdling scream come from back at camp. I drop my rod and instantly start running towards camp, which is probably about 500 yards at least from where I was fishing. As I'm running kind of parallel to the river back to camp, I catch something out of the corner of my eye heading down to the river. I stop briefly and I see this enormous hair-covered being moving extremely fast through the timber towards the river. It hit the water like a pickup truck, and it flew across the other side of the Bull River in the blink of an eye. It ran up the bank on the other side without losing stride and was in the timber and gone. The bank was all loose dirt and gravel and probably at least 40 feet high. Then there was a bit of a grassy slope from 50 feet or so to the thick trees. This creature crossed the river, up the bank, across the grass opening, and to the trees in about 3 or 4 seconds. It was absolutely unbelievable. I was in shock, standing there with my mouth hanging open and my jaw hitting the ground when I hear Arlene scream my name. I take off running again back to camp, and Arlene is in the driver's side of the truck with the truck running and the shotgun pointed out the window. I started calling her name and she finally got out, dropped the gun and came running to me. She was absolutely hysterical and crying. It took me a few minutes just to calm her down so that she could speak. I already knew what she'd seen, but Arlene explained what had happened. She woke up and walked into the trees beside camp to pee after she'd gotten up and was doing her morning routine against a large tree. She was only 80 feet or so from the truck and trailer when she heard the same clicking sound that we'd heard the night before directly behind her. She said she slowly turned her head and there was this massive male creature that looked an awful lot like a man standing 15 feet behind her. She said he was massive, completely covered in hair and absolutely motionless. All of a sudden, he made the clicking sound by moving his mouth. And when that happened, Arlene let out a scream. As soon as she screamed, the creature took off and Arlene ran for the truck and the shotgun. We were both absolutely shocked by what we'd seen. I told Arlene that I'd seen it run across the river and up the bank into the trees. I must tell you that the Bull River in the area that I was fishing was probably 50 to 60 feet across, and I'm guessing at its deepest spot, maybe 4 or 5 feet deep. This creature crossed it like nothing, effortless. Needless to say, we packed up our tent trailer and headed home. Arlene was very much in shock and disbelief, and I must be honest, I was as well. Yes, I'd heard stories. Yes, I'd seen some pictures over the years. And as I said, I was fascinated at the thought of them being out there. But absolutely nothing prepares you for putting eyes on one. I've seen some horrible stuff in my career as a police officer. Things that gave me nightmares and some that made me seek counseling. Seeing that Bigfoot that day was next level. I'd like to know if anyone who has truly seen one firsthand didn't feel that fear, panic, or terror that both of us felt. You hear people say, oh, they're friendly, or they won't hurt you. Your brain doesn't think of that when you first see one of these beings. Your brain goes into overload and shock. They are not supposed to exist, but there it is right in front of you. It took me a long time to accept the fact of what we saw, and I was a strong believer long before that day. Arlene never did get over it, and still talks about it to this day. That was the last time she ever came fishing with me, or camping. We've lived in a rural area for many years now, and she won't walk near any forests without me. She had nightmares for ages, but those finally stopped. I talked to a few co-workers in the department shortly after the incident, but there was only one man who was a really close friend of mine that I feel actually believed me. The others listened and didn't say they don't believe me, but their facial expressions said otherwise. It took a lot for me to get back out on the river and back to the lake fishing, but I did, and I continued until my early 70s. Then arthritis hit me, and that was the end of my fishing days. I love watching your channel, the fishing, the hiking, and even the hunting ones. Enjoy every second in the wilderness, Darren, because nothing lasts forever. And I can tell how much you enjoy nature. Bless you, young man, and thanks for all you do. Wayne Gunther. Holy shit, Wayne. Dude. Unbelievable. Oof. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, eh? Holy cow. There's a lot there. First of all, Wayne, First of all, I want to thank you for your service as a police officer. Yes, my dad was a cop for 36 or 37 years, and he retired. And yes, I did almost pursue policing myself. I did actually pursue it slightly, and then opted to go a different route. But thank you for your service, man. Appreciate you so much. I know that area. I know the Bull River. Bull River is a huge river, as you know, but many others might not. Bull River is a huge river, and the Bull River travels kind of parallel with the BC-Alberta border, south to north, and or from the north to the south, I believe. I've hunted through areas of the Bull River, not near Calgary. I'm a little further up, a little further north, but yeah, I've seen the Bull River. Beautiful country. And man, like, what a horrifying experience for your wife, for sure. And dude, just as terrifying for you. You know, when you're married and your wife and your kids, I mean, they're your world, right? And you do anything for them. That's freaking terrifying. You know, you're not there with her and you hear her scream like that. You don't know what the hell's going on. Last thing you're thinking is a Bigfoot. That's for sure, right? You're probably thinking bear or something, or she's hurt herself or cut herself or whatever. And, you know, to go running back, and then all of a sudden, then you see this creature heading for the river and crossing the river and up a bank, and no thanks. No, thank you. I don't blame you for packing your shit and getting the hell out of there, man. That is wild. Appreciate the story, Wayne. And I'm going to reach out to you. Bear with me. I will reach out to you, my friend. It's going to take me some time, but I'll get there. All right. I don't have much time left. We're going to do one more, and then I'm going to get out of here, and get camp set up. Hello, Darren. My name is Cheyenne Reynolds, and I must say that I do love your channel and the manner in which you deliver people's encounters. I must keep my location private, but I may at some point be willing to share it with you if you decide to contact me. My husband and I live remote and off-grid several hours from the nearest settlement, so I cannot disclose this information out of the respect to the people who live there or near me. I will try to keep this somewhat short for you, because I could literally talk for hours about the Negaunee, or forest people as you call them. These people have been part of my culture for many generations, and although they were very rarely ever talked about, it is becoming more common these days for them to be discussed. I'd heard a few stories growing up, but as I said back then, people did not talk about encounters openly. My husband and I moved from town to our homestead in 2001 when he retired. We'd purchased 60 acres of land and ended up building a home and a life for ourselves here. In 2004, we had our first sighting of a Negaunee right on our property. It was late afternoon, the sun had just set, and we were in the barn feeding the stock. As Mark and I headed for the house, he looked towards the forest and pointed to the trees, saying, "What the hell is that?" Mark is not First Nations, but my heritage is, so I was far more aware of the Negaunee than him. That being said, before the words left my mouth, Mark said, "That's a bleeping Negaunee." We saw the creature for only a few seconds and it was gone. Several days later, I was in my garden and Mark was in the shop again. It was later in the afternoon and I saw 3 of them walking the tree line, heading towards the base of the mountain. I watched them disappear into the trees, then I ran to the shop to tell Mark. I showed him where I saw them, so he started looking for them. A minute or so later, and Mark said, "What's that up on the ridge?" He ran to the shop, grabbed his binoculars, and saw all 3 of the Negaunee in line walking up the ridge up the mountain. I could just see them with the naked eye. We've lived here for 25 years now, and we've watched this clan of 3 many times. I would guess to say that we've seen them likely 3 to 4 times a year, almost every year, sometimes more. One winter, Mark spotted them on the ridge at the back of our property in a couple feet of snow. He'd seen some very dark objects, so he grabbed his spotting scope, set it up on them, and the 3 of them were sitting on the ground looking down on our house from at least a mile away. Mark said it was like they were looking right into his scope. It gave him an eerie feeling. There was only one time that one of them got close to our house. We were having dinner and it was almost too dark to see the back of the field when I saw this flash walk behind our shop, which is only 100 feet from the house. Mark thought he was heading for the barn where we have our stock, so he opened the back door, but before he could yell, this guy must have heard the door open and took off faster than any wild animal we've ever seen. He headed for the trees and was gone. We've seen wolves here as well as lions, and this guy would have outrun them easily. He made it to the tree line in a handful of seconds. It was truly unbelievable to see something move with that speed. I have heard you say that you believe you need to just coexist with these forest people. I couldn't agree with you more, as that's exactly what we've done. We leave them alone, and so far they leave us alone. Mark and I have been up the mountain where we regularly see them, and there's been many times that we've felt uneasy, so we simply leave. Other times, we feel nothing at all, and we just go about our business. I'd like to talk to you more about your own personal experiences and get your opinions on these people. We know where we stand, but I would like to hear what you think. Keep up the great work and continue to be safe on your travels. Feel free to email back if you'd like. Take care. Cheyenne Reynolds. Thank you, Cheyenne Reynolds. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Talk about a mixed bag of emotions. I'm like this. I read Wayne's email and I'm freaked out, and then I read that one and I'm like, I don't know what to think. And I don't know what to think. I really don't know what to think about these beings. That's why I think we can all learn so much. But anyhow, thank you all for taking the time to email into me. Anyone that has anything they want to share, you can email me, outlawcountry1896@gmail.com. And just email it once. And if I've still got several hundred emails to read, so if yours doesn't get read at a certain point of time, if yours doesn't get read after a certain point in time, then reach out to me again or whatever. But again, I just there's a lot of emails there. I just copy them, paste them, put them in my box. So I will get to them, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go find a place to set up camp, get a little fire going. Starting to cool off big time now, so let's rock and roll. We'll get a little bit more video later, maybe. See what happens. It's funny how you hear things out here, like strange sounds, branches breaking, and who knows. There's all sorts of stuff out here, all sorts of critters out here. All right, I'm gonna rock and roll, guys. Sorry, guys. I generally wear this on my hip, but not always. This is a great little axe. Super, super sharp. I keep it razor sharp. and it's got a built-in saw in the handle. If you watch some of my Alone series videos, you'll be very familiar with the old hip hatchet. Beautiful. Oh boy. Well, as Dick Prenicky used to say, no better company than a campfire. Just in the nick of time. I found a couple good chunks of wood up here, so I'm gonna go back and grab those. I found a little bit of yellow cedar. Yellow or red cedar is all you need to get a fire going, man. That does the trick. Good company. Good company. I'll go grab that wood, get the jet boil going, boil some water, and have something to eat. Because I'm hungry now. Thirsty too. God, I could make my camp a little bit better. I have to do a little bit more trimming here with the old hip hatchet, I think. Make camp a little bit more comfortable. The wind has really picked up. It's windy. It comes in gusts. You probably can't hear it now. It's not that bad now, but I can hear it whistling up the creek here. It's just a little tiny creek down below me here. I came from that side. I just came down over the ridge here a little bit because it was out of the wind. I found a nice little spot here in the trees. Got a good canopy over me, should be just fine. Anyways, I'm gonna get a bit more wood here. I don't know if you guys have ever seen any, most of you probably have if you're into camping or backpacking, whatever. When I refer to a jet boil, that's the jet boil right there. That's your stove. Super lightweight, eh? The canisters are super lightweight, and there's your cooking pot. And not only do you cook with this, you put your water there and boil your water, but you can eat out of it too. And it basically just locks down onto the stove, like so. Just like so. Fill it full of water, turn the stove on, and it takes 60 seconds. It takes 60 seconds for this 3/4 full, which is, I think this is just about a liter of water. It takes 60 seconds to boil. It's really quick. And you got piping hot water, and then you got a great coffee mug, or I'll eat my meals, put porridge in here, whatever. As I said here, I just got a freeze-dried meal, macaroni and cheese, mac and cheese. Forever young mac and cheese is what I have. You must know exactly what it is for every young mac and cheese. And it's delicious. Anyhow, you just boil the water, throw it in the bag, and stir it up. Let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then you got yourself a delicious meal. I'm kidding, it's not delicious. Gets you by. Sometimes I'll come out and do these overnighters, and I'll bring like a steak. I'll bring just a steak, one steak and an onion. And my Mrs. Outlaw bought me a nice, beautiful little cast iron skillet. It's about that big. It'll cook probably a 10-ounce steak, but like a 6 or 8-ounce steak and onions. Throw it on the jet boil there, or in the fire, and cook it on there. I've done that many a times. Some of my other earlier videos on my campouts, I'll do that. I'll bring a steak and an onion. Love that. Love it. Peaceful, peace and quiet. Smoke blowing right in my face, of course. Stupid smoke. Anyhow, I'm gonna chill out here a little bit, and I'm gonna get my water going. Maybe have a little cup of tea or coffee. I mean, I bring all I do for coffee out here is I just bring little packages of instant coffee. I just drink my coffee black, so I just bring some of that, cook it up, boil the water, and throw the water and instant coffee in the thing there. Boom. Nice cup of coffee. You know what I'd kill for right now? I'd kill for a cold beer, let me tell you. Oh well, soon enough. I wish I had about half a quart of firewood here. I'd keep this fire going all night long. That would be so nice, but I don't. Most of the wood here's really wet. There's one little standing dead right here. I might muster up enough energy to cut that one down, but I haven't got long here. It's gonna be pitch dark here real soon. What a day, folks. Okay, you don't need to sit here with me and watch me drink coffee and talk to myself by the fire. So I will catch you all in a little while. Maybe in the morning, I don't know. I might just crawl in my ground sheet, throw my down stuff on, crawl in my sheet here and call it a night. All right, later. I just heard an animal breaking a couple there, hear that? Hey, get out of here. Get. Hey. 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 Oh, shit. Hey, get out of here. I'm armed. Get out of here. Get out of here. Well, I can't tell you how glad I will be to get back to my truck. Can't even explain it. But maybe you can also see why it's not a good idea to try hiking this country at dark. It's just not a good idea. I'm getting down into the valley bottom now, and it's thick, and the terrain is uneven. It's gross. So you ask me, oh Jesus, you ask me, did I want to, you asked me, did I want to get out of here last night? But it would not have been a good idea, folks. It would not have been a good idea. You can get hurt real bad in these. You can get hurt real bad in these conditions, so. I'm almost there. I got another half an hour. And I'll be at my truck. Thank God. Thank God. Anyhow. All's well that ends well. Isn't that what they say? I guess. I can hear the creek. Can you guys hear it? I'll stop for a second. Hear the creek? I just got to get to the creek, cross the creek, go another quarter mile to the main road to my truck. And I'm out of here. All right, well, you know what? That's enough filming. So, well, not fun. Wasn't that fun? Yeah, not really. Not a whole lot of fun last night. Whatever. Live and learn. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Listen, take care of yourselves, every one of you. Be safe. If you're out doing this crazy shit like me, be really safe. And remember, guys, be a good person, eh? Be a good person. Do something nice for someone. As I say, when your ticket gets punched, when this ride of life is over, well, you got your name. And you better hope it's a good one. All right, I'm out of here. Take care. There's the truck. Hello, beautiful. Oh, man. So, oh, man. Am I glad to see the truck. So, I'm walking down this road goes in another, from right here, this road goes in about a half a mile and it's deactivated. So that's where I came out from, up there, down across the creek that I told you about, up to there, and then to this road, out to my truck. And, oh man, tires aren't flat, that's a good thing. Anyhow, so I'm walking down the road here, down this deactivated road, and I know this road fairly well, and I'm about, I don't know, I'm maybe half a mile from the big washout where no vehicles can get through, nothing, and I'm about half a mile the other way of the washout, and I see this guy walking down the road, and I could tell right away by the way he was dressed that it was a conservation officer. So anyways, I'm just walking along, whatever, and this guy goes, this guy's like, "Good morning." I'm like, "Good morning." He goes, "What are you doing out here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just out hiking." And I could tell right away he was arrogant. he had an arrogance about him. And I'm like, I'm just out hiking. He goes, is that your truck back there? I go, yeah. And he goes, well, when did you come in here? And I said, yesterday. And he goes, oh yeah, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm hiking. I'm out for a hike. I spent the night out here. And he goes, what do you have a gun for? Why do you have a gun? And I'm like, to protect myself. Why do you have a gun? And he goes, and then he's like, don't be smart with me. And I'm like, dude, I don't fucking have sorry. I'm like, dude, I don't have time for you right now. Like, is there a problem? No, you got a hunting license? I said, yeah, I got a hunting license. Give him my license, give him my tags, because you have to show them all your tags, whether they've been punched or not. I'm not hunting. I'm just carrying this for protection. Show him my license, show him my tags. And he asked me again, he goes, so you're just out here hiking for fun? And I'm like, yeah, I am. I love the wilderness, don't you? Isn't that why you're a conservation officer? And he goes, and then he says it again. He's like, don't be smart with me. And I'm like, I'm not being smart, man. Are we done here? And he goes, yeah, we're done. And he goes, have a good day. I'm like, yeah, you too. Oh my God, like talk about attitude. He's a younger guy and it's just like, give me a break. Anyways, I got back to the truck just in time. It's starting to rain. And to say I'm pooped is an understatement. So I'm gonna get the hell out of Dodge. We'll see you later, folks. See you on the next one. Be good, be safe, and the most important thing ever is be a good person. Be a good person, all right? Thanks, guys. See you later.